Welcome to the Death Before Decay podcast. I'm Dr. Elliot, and this is John Erlien. It's the two of us today.
Hello. Thanks for having me again, Dr. Elliot.
Oh, you bet. Super producer, John Erlien.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Today we're going to talk about lessons that you and I learned the hard way. And it's not because we have all the answers. Neither of us are geniuses. But because we've both spent enough time chasing our life goals and building things, screwing things up, and figuring things out, that we have definitely developed our own opinions and vibes on certain things, especially when it comes to success and failure. Because when it comes down to it, this podcast is about entrepreneurship. It's about confidence. It's about dentistry. It's about photography. It's about a lot of things. Mm-hmm. But a lot of it is our goal is that you learn something from every episode. So,
this is, I mean, if you want to get some passion through your speakers on this episode, I think it's really going to come out, especially from this mic right here, because
this is a topic you're excited about.
I am. You know, failure is people need to embrace failure more.
Yes.
Number one. I mean, and like repetition, beating something into the ground, and just, you know, we've talked about it before in previous episodes, falling down, getting back up.
Yeah, I am not a professional mentor yet in any capacity, but I tend to have people reach out to me and ask me a lot of questions. My career took off a little bit faster than some people, and I also entered dental school later in life than some people. I've had this question asked a couple of times to me is, what if I fail? And my response every single time is, you will. It's going to happen. You need to be ready to mitigate the fallout. And you need to make sure that you didn't do something that puts you or your license at risk. That's always the most important thing. Did you fail because you did everything right and it still didn't work out? That's okay.
Right.
But if you failed because you did something you know you shouldn't do it that way, well, that's not okay. Absolutely not.
Yeah, and that's assessing the risk, you know. Yeah. And I'd like to back up for a sec.
Back it up.
Well, no, just for you, you said something. You're like, you said something like, I'm not really a mentor, but like, dude, you have a staff of like 20 people.
Okay, that's true.
You are a leader every single day, and you are mentoring your associate and other employees. So I mean, like, there are levels of it, but I think what we both desire is really that one-on-one coaching,
yes.
Right? Like a little more intimate setting where, we both are there for that reason that, there is a guide and there is someone that needs to be guided.
Right. So I have a friend who's going through a practice acquisition right now, and he's like, I don't know how I'm going to handle the staff, this or that. And, what if I screw it up? I'm like, you will.
Yeah.
It's okay. Like in some situation and at some level, you're going to screw something up.
Yeah.
There are things that I definitely wish I could take back in my history as a leader, as in the in martial arts, in school, in dentistry, as a business owner, as a practice owner. How are we going to deal with it? The thing that I always try to avoid at all costs is clinical mistakes, because that's somebody else who's relying on me, and I've done a very good job at that. But there have been plenty of business mistakes throughout my time, mistakes of how I approached a person, and you need to approach things with humility. You need to admit when you're wrong. You can't be totally stubborn and set in your ways to a point.
Yeah, you got to own it.
Yeah,
you got to own it.
Yeah,
and the fear of failure is a real thing, and it's like you can go two ways with it.
For sure.
Like the fear of failure will deter you from even trying.
And that fear should never be the deterrent from
Exactly. That uncomfortable feeling that you are feeling when you have that fear. Don't be afraid of it. It's that uncomfortable area where you're growing.
Yes.
You will be growing and learning and scaling yourself, but you can't get there unless you crawl through some you know what sometimes.
Right. And when it comes down to it, that fear can be used as a way of planning for things to go wrong.
Yeah.
That's where that fear is useful. You want to plan for what could go wrong on several different levels.
So
yeah.
like what would be like the worst mistake that you ever learned from?
You know, and I'm not going to like go into it in a lot of detail because there are people that were heavily impacted by it. But not trusting my gut when it came to working with certain people. You know, there have been times where I've worked with certain people in dental school or in my career that weren't the right fit for me or for my team. And it really caused a lot of pain and suffering, not just from me, but for the people that I brought in that weren't the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to trust your gut and be willing to pivot when you recognize that something's not working out. And trying to force something to work just because it's a pride thing is important.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you've worked with people or hired people in the past that probably wasn't the best decision.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there was one, and you know, it just seemed good on paper.
Yeah.
But it didn't end up that way. So unfortunately, you know.
And that's the thing too, is that it didn't just impact me. I think that was what it came down to. But I think my worst mistakes are always not trusting my gut on something and try to force a relationship or a situation to work when it wasn't.
Well, and you know, we've been friends for a while, and you know, and I've even shared with you like patience.
Yeah.
Right? And when it comes to the decision making, and that decision making could potentially result in a failure, right? Like, and as you go through the process, you take a step back. Would you be like, well, I didn't exercise the patience that I should have?
I think that's really what it came down to, is that I needed a role filled, or I needed I needed something taken care of, or I wanted to work with a certain group or a certain person, and I forced it to happen rather than having the patience to look for the right person or the right group.
Right.
There are companies that I've hired that I didn't work out. They worked out for a time. And then when they didn't, I just kept working with them because I didn't want to admit that I was wrong,
Mm-hmm.
or that they weren't working for me anymore when it was time to pivot.
Yeah.
You know, there have been a couple of different marketing groups that I've worked with over the years. And some of them were the right people for me at that time. And then I kept them too long.
Yeah.
And
that happens, right? Especially in that industry, because you get a comfort level, you know, things can get a little laxed. And then it just gets to be a little, it's not good. What mistakes through failure kind of like made you better in your decision-making process?
In dental school, I decided that my screw you mentality and my just make it happen mentality was my greatest strength for advocating for my fellow students. And I decided to get very open, let's call it, and unfiltered with how I felt about certain people in the higher up administration to their faces. which resulted in some semblance of veiled retaliation towards me, and put my standing at risk in graduating from dental school. Luckily, it did not come to that. But I decided, when I pointed out to someone that they depicted, the way that they handled things made me think that they cared more about their resume than they did about the students. They didn't take that take that very well.
Gotcha.
And it didn't end up with me getting done what I thought should be accomplished. We were looking to add a counselor, a therapist, somebody for students to go and talk to at the dental school at the time. And we approached several different people about making it happen. The medical school across the street, for reference, had 5 on staff, but the dental school didn't have any. So we were trying to advocate for that. And somebody high up in administration said, I can't believe you guys are dealing with this. What's going on? It's this is how we think. And he said, well, I think that goes to show that we aren't, bringing in the same caliber of human beings that we used to into these programs. And I told him he was an idiot.
And how did that go over?
With that specific person, okay.
Okay.
Because there was a back and forth, but the guy sitting in the room did not take that well.
Yeah, rightfully so, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you have a young adult criticizing someone's intelligence.
Yeah, and the other person was the one that I specifically questioned their motives on why they were doing things. And honestly, I stand by what I said to that person. The idiot thing was probably not the best way to put it, but by questioning whether he actually cared about the students, I still stand by that statement.
Sure, and that's fair. That's totally fair.
But it did get me in trouble, and it made me maybe a bit of a better politician, a better speaker, and better at negotiating. So that's a mistake that I think really helped me grow as a human being, for sure.
And I've been in situations like that too. And you know what? I've made similar failure mistakes there. And I think what I've learned is, if you're going to go have a crucial conversation in that sort of setting, you have to do your best to remove all of the emotion out of everything you're doing.
Right.
Because there, as much as you can, what are the data points? What are the points of authority, right? How might we make a difference with this negative situation, right? And try to come out with some sort of resolution.
Right, because to me, my failure there wasn't that, I had someone come after me. It was that we didn't accomplish what we were trying to make happen. And maybe if I had approached it in a better way, we would have. But there's different types of failure too.
Yeah. I actually just want you to ask me verbatim, John, when was the last time you failed and how did you handle it?
Okay. So, John, when was the last time you failed and how did you handle it?
Oh my God, I love this question. Thank you so much for asking. So, first note is I was asked that question in an interview. I was young.
Okay.
Heavily unprepared for that question.
I know it's on a lot of interviews. I don't know why.
It is. And I remember just honestly giving the worst answer. It was like, I sent an email, forgot to CC someone or forgot to, put the attachment on and then followed up with, and now the attachment.
That is the lamest response ever to that question.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah.
So now
I would be embarrassed.
I would, and that's why I had you ask me the question, because it's no one really prepares you for it. This is my opportunity to prepare people. So people, if you're not failing every single day, you're not growing.
Yes.
If you're not failing, you're not getting stronger. If you're not learning from your mistakes, you're not taking those steps forward. So like, you know, that's why when we go back to, you know, like failure and success or whatever, you know, success equals failure at some point along that journey. You failed and pivoted and you went back, you know, you had enough courage to go back, you're good to go. You know, like you have to fail every day. That's how you learn. If you're not failing, dude, I don't even know if I want to talk to you.
Yeah. And if you're not learning from those mistakes, that's is how we learn. I think a lot of people actually learn more from their mistakes and their failures than their successes.
I know I do.
There's plenty of learning opportunities in your successes, like, hey, that worked. But there's just as many to learn in failures. But I think failure should sting. I don't think you should be completely comfortable with failure either.
Oh, gosh, no.
Like my mom, my parents, we've talked about this before, never let me use ADHD or like anything, or me being smaller than other people as an excuse. Like, you're smaller, well, figure out how to get inside their guard and win your tournament. Oh, you don't learn as good as everyone else? Try harder. And I almost became kind of a sore loser. And I think there's like there's definitely like a line that you have to balance. Like, there's a difference between being a sore loser and being way too comfortable with failure or way too okay with it, because things that matter to you, it should sting when you fail. Like, I took losses in martial arts with grace, but I was never okay with it.
But like,
but I'd learn from it.
The stinging and failure should hurt. But like, if you gave it your all and you didn't end up on top, you should still be proud of yourself.
Yeah, I'm not good at that. I'll just be honest. And that's probably a failure on my part.
I don't think it's failure. It's your desire to win, and it's that level of like, now I'm pushing harder.
Yeah,
right?
It's the same thing in business. You know, you and I were talking earlier outside of the podcast about me, where the growth comes, what's next, what do I want to do? Am I going to keep doing it how I'm doing it? And the answer is, I don't know. But I know that growth is coming. I don't know exactly what it looks like.
Well, things become more clear, though, too. Like, as you start to, you know, you make more room in your head, because the other things that you had to give a lot of focus and attention to, now you don't have to so much anymore, because there's muscle memory, or you've built up your confidence in how to do that task or whatever, you know. So like, being able to, you know, do those reps and, you know, learn from the failures and build that up, then you take something new on.
Yeah, but that could be like obsession too. So what would you say is the line between passion and obsession?
Oh, gosh.
Because
I feel like you stumped me.
You know what? I think I've crossed that line many times over the years.
Let me start with passion. Passion, and this is just me. I have a driving passion to continue to elevate my craft, be better at how I approach things, is specifically my professional career. You know, I enjoy understanding the process, and I get a lot of fulfillment out of it. Obsession, it's different, because you are so fixated on a certain something that like it eats away at you, that like it's almost like negative.
Yeah.
It's like a negative thing, but passion is positive. Passion is like, dude, I'm passionate about marketing. I am passionate about photography. I am passionate about the energy I get when I work with somebody one-on-one. But like, an obsession can be very, very negative. So that's how I would relate it.
The line is when your passion starts having a negative impact on your life, it's become an obsession. Is that a good way? Is that where you're going?
I think for right now, yes. I can meet you there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I can meet you there. But I mean, how do you feel about that? Like, when you think about passion versus obsession, like, are you aligned? Do you see it differently?
I think that there have been times in my life where I've been obsessed with success. What does success look like? What's the high from it? And when do I move on to the next success? And I think that's when my mentality has gotten like negative. Like I am like always seeking out that endorphin rush or, hormonal, like it just like that zhuzh, I guess is the best way to describe it. That I can never just settle for what I have right now at times. Yeah. And that's when it's negatively impacting my life. But it's also what drives me forward. It's how I grow as a human being, where I find some semblance of joy. But it can't be, my self-worth can't be tied into that so much. Because like what we're saying here is that you should be upset when you fail at something that matters to you, but just don't stay upset when you're there. Yeah. And enjoy success when you have it too, and not be seeking out the next success.
Oh my gosh, I'm so bad about celebrating the success.
Same. I'm thinking about the next thing. That
absolutely. It's like, what could I have done better? How can I make this better? How can I scale this? Right? Like, this was a small win. Let's make it a big win.
I think one thing that I have found as I've gotten older, and especially in the last couple of years, is finding activities that I don't care if I win at or not. It's been interesting.
In the words of one of my mentors, Gary, say more.
Okay, so I had to leave competitive martial arts when I entered dental school. Like, it wasn't a way, like I can still do my patterns, but getting in the sparring ring is not responsible anymore. I have too many people relying on me. So if I get injured, it derails too many other people's lives.
Could impact your future.
Right, 100%. So rather than just like going with it, like I decided I am going to leave the competitive side of martial arts and just enjoy the art form of it. And now I don't care as much about whether everything is perfect about it. I still enjoy it in a lot of ways, but I'm not like, I'm up for a rank advancement technically, and I really don't care if I get it or not.
A rank advancement?
Meaning I can move up a degree of black belt.
Got it. Okay.
Another thing that I've taken up because of probably peer pressure and expectations as a dentist is that I should know how to golf, and I don't.
Whole life.
I know.
To get better at golf.
I know. But I went and decided to try it. There's a scramble event coming up that I'm sponsoring.
Best kind of like start with.
Is it? Okay.
Oh,
good.
yeah. Yeah.
So I'm playing with some friends of mine. One of them is a friend of both of ours, good old Uncle Mike Cup.
Cupcake.
Yep. He's been teaching me how to hit the ball, and now I can hit it, which I couldn't do 2 weeks ago.
Keep your head down.
Yep. It's been interesting, but I also do not care at how well I do in a golf event. Right now, I'm just, all I care about is, could I hit it further? Because that's fun. But at the end of the day, it doesn't, you've probably got things that you've done in your life where you didn't care if you won or lost, or.
Well, life has its way of conditioning you.
Yeah.
I would say that. So here are my two things that made me, I think, take competitive failure to not such a personal level. So for those of you that's played football with me in Sheboygan South High School, graduating class in 1998.
How many people were on the football team?
Well, my senior varsity year, I think ended the year with 13 players.
Okay.
And if my math is correct, you need 11 players.
Okay. So there might be 12 people listening to this who can.
Potentially, presumably.
Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
Yeah, but so like my whole high school career, we won a total of 2 games. Once my freshman year, and then once my senior year. And it was such a exhausting thing, but I loved the sport.
Yeah.
And I was decent at it for my team. If I was probably somewhere else, maybe I would have rode the bench. But
did you ever beat North High?
Yes, freshman year.
Oh man!
Yeah.
Right.
So for
Vader
those listening,
Nation.
that's the arch rival across town. But
Where
very
I
good
went
friends.
to school.
Very good friends. We're all still very good friends, but that was when we could talk a little trash.
Yeah.
But and then like also oddly enough in the video game world. So my brother Josh and I, again back to football, played Madden online all the time. He moved out to Washington when he was in the service, and then he was in Indiana, and that's where he is now. And that was our way of connecting, right? So we would play Madden football all the time. And man, would he kick my butt every single time we played. I would just get so mad. And then I was just like, oh, good game, Josh. Love you, buddy. Because at the end of the day, man, I didn't want to be mad at my brother. I love my brother,
That's funny.
and I just, it was just us hanging out. He just happened to win all the time. However, once the reps kicked in, 4 years of getting my butt kicked,
Yeah.
I got to win in every now and then.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I kind of brought it back.
We
but
had the same thing.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, I would kick all of my siblings' butts at, and occasionally I would pick a character where they would stand a chance, and they'd beat me every once in a while.
Yeah, like I took the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had one of my employees, this is funny, came to me the other day, and she's like, I had my Switch out in my office just playing Mario Kart after a long surgery. And she's like, oh, I play Mario Kart at home all the time. My husband gives me a hard time because I won't let my kid win. And I'm like, tell me more. And she's like, well, I'm really competitive and I want her to be competitive. So if she wants to beat me, she needs to beat me. And I'm like, that's awesome, but it probably gets super discouraging at the same time.
Sounds just like my better half. My wife is extremely competitive, but also like a very gifted athlete.
Yeah.
She's like really like her middle name should be Precision.
My group of friends growing up, we were always trying to one up each other, and I think that it developed us to be the people that we are.
I would say try playing darts with my wife. I thought darts were fun. I'm kidding. You know how much I love you, honey.
Oh man.
But yeah, so I mean, like, but when it comes to failure, right? Like, you got to own that. No one's coming to save you,
Right.
right?
Yeah. I mean, growth begins when personal responsibility kicks in.
Yeah.
Like you have to own your shit.
And the question, and again, I'm going to go back to my brother Joshua Erlien. What are you doing about it?
I would agree. When,
It's a fair question.
like, at what point do you stop blaming the circumstances that are going on around you? With Madden football, you're probably blaming the controller.
And maybe the local area network, aka LAN.
Yes.
No, but I mean, like, but like if we back it up a bit, all that negative energy that you feel, all that frustration, and you sit there and complain, but what are you doing about it? What are you doing to make a change? You're sick of failing. There's a lot of failure going on, and like nothing's changing. I have to, I would say you got to take a step back as a human being and be like, what am I doing wrong here? And what do I need to do to change? What do I need to do to pivot? What am I doing about it? And if you're not doing anything, then nothing is going to change.
It's a really fast way to become a toxic human being to other people too.
Absolutely.
If you feel like your friends are not supporting you or have your back all the time, is it something you're doing? And I can think of people that I've been close to over the years coming to me and saying things like, oh yeah, it didn't work out because of this and that. And, the government's this or that. And I'm like, all right. So what did you do to pivot or do next? And well, nothing.
Yeah.
They only want people with a college degree. Great. When are you going to start school?
Well, and with where today is at right now, I feel like the playing field has been leveled.
Yes.
Like with software, AI, like I don't want to turn this into an AI conversation, but again, sorry. But I mean, like the playing field has been leveled a bit to a certain point, where, we can all find ways to learn differently and approach our work differently. And it is a way to do something about it.
Yeah. No one's coming to save you. Like you've got friends and family who have your back.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you start becoming, when you start to feel people pulling away, there's a point of like, hey, I've got to have some self-reflection about this. Like whenever I've had a team member or somebody that I've worked with or a company that didn't work out with me, or an employee, I do take it to heart. Like that's a form of failure. Like, why didn't this work out? And I have learned over the years that I can't just blame that person. I need to take a step back and go, is there anything I could have done better?
Yeah.
Like, what mistakes did I make along the way? And you know what's really cool? Sometimes it had nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it did.
And, you know, when you are a leader and when you are a mentor, approaching these difficult conversations can be a challenge. And I just like something for me that I do that helps those conversations when, you know, you're needing to talk to someone. I'll start with, and it's tone, right? It's like tone of voice,
Sure.
It's delivery, it's everything. I'll say, I have a hard question to ask you. That works for me.
Sure.
And how I'm approaching things, because I'm trying to tee up that, like, I'm not trying to be transparent. I don't like to gatekeep. I don't like to be transparent. And I'm letting whoever this individual is to be like, look, we're having a conversation here and we are not, I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Do you think, like, let's think back here. I like where you're going with this because, you know, I'm talking about like team members that didn't work out and I have that self-reflection on standpoint, but there are times that like there are just people you can't work with. What do people avoid taking ownership of? Because you've worked with, I think, more diverse teams than I have.
Yeah, someone's always going to point the finger at someone, you know, every single time. But at the end of the day, like, I'd be the one to stop the buck and be like, I own it. I'll take that. That happened on my team. I lead this team. That's me. I own it. And especially,
that's a good idea.
Well, no, I mean, like, at the end of the day, I don't want to sit there and waste time on who did what and why what happened. I want to solve the problem.
Right.
You know, and then I want to have a solution to the problem so that it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. There's personality assessments called DISC assessments that I use in my practice a lot. And one thing, I'm what you would call a heavy DI. People with a high D and a high I tend to like working with people a lot and are really, really driven towards success at times. And we don't want too much information. So one thing that, like, one way of like really screwing with me and making me upset is to give me a bunch of excuses why something didn't happen.
Absolutely. And I'm very similar, because at the end of the day, it's not a good use of our time to sit there and be like, well, what happened? Well, we know what happened because that's why we're talking.
Right.
You know, so
give me the bullet points.
Yeah. Well, that, or own it. Let me know where the mistake happened.
Right.
We both learned from it. And let's hope it doesn't happen again. But if there's a repetitive action where things continue to happen, well, you know, as a manager, that's where you have to take a step back, remove emotion completely from it, and take a look at the role and the responsibilities that role needs to do. If the human being that's in that role is not being able to execute that, then as a manager, you have a hard decision to make.
Right. And this kind of ties more into the leadership aspect of like being failing at times as a leader is, you know, not recognizing where the problem came from, or not adapting to the issue, because the challenges of leadership are much different than the challenge of individual accountability. You know, for me, you know, if you're not using common sense and you're making a lot of excuses about things, I have a harder time keeping you around and on my team, because that's a toxic trait. And I think that's when you start owning and taking accountability for things and admitting mistakes and learning from those mistakes heck, man, that's when you start to become a leader.
Yeah, I would rather just own it and not like get it over with, but I'd rather own anything that I've done that was maybe inaccurate or it was the cause of the problem, and I will learn from it.
Yeah, because leadership isn't about having fewer problems. It's about carrying those bigger ones.
I love being a leader.
So do I.
I do. I absolutely.
I get a lot of fulfillment.
I do. I love it. I love to lead and inspire. I love to mentor. And I'm so grateful that I have a new opportunity to do this again, because I don't know if we want to like totally get into it, but like I was in a leadership position at my former place of employment, Mercury Marine, and I loved that job. And I stepped into the company as an individual contributor, and left as someone that was on an executive leadership team. And that place is amazing, and I learned so much growth there. But that's where I also learned to own it.
Yeah.
There's no time to just sit there and point the finger and whatever. It's like, no. And that's where the team culture really, I got to work with, I feel like, some of the best. And I had such a great support crew. And then, as people's corporate careers go on, right, like you start to lose a little love, right?
Yeah.
And I just knew that like my time there was done. It was time to leave. And I took about a 2-year hiatus. And now I find myself back in a corporate world and in another leadership position where I'm leading and inspiring. But now I have the clarity that I didn't have because I was at Mercury for over a decade, right? And now I have that clarity of like knowing where the mistakes happen. You do your best to avoid them, but it still happens. But like that mentality of like, hey, it's okay. You're gonna fail. It's all right. Like, I'm not your parent. No one should be going to work to be thinking like, oh my God, they're going to get mad at me today. Oh my God. Like, gosh, no, like we're all adults. You know what? You're having a bad day. Go home. This isn't a prison.
Yeah. I try to make a place that's pretty fun to work at, but and at the end of the day, like it's still work. But I really, really love practice ownership. I love the fact that I've been able to build a team. I was talking with one of my consultants, mentor, advisor. I don't know what we would call her, but her name's Corey. She's worked with me for a long time. And we're just chatting at this point, just having a conversation, because she's not on retainer anymore. But she pointed out to me that that I have an amazing team right now, and I feel really, really good about that, because one thing I think gets romanticized, especially when we're younger, is that the grass is going to be greener on the other side. And leadership is not about having fewer problems. Like I said, it's about carrying bigger ones, because the thing was always like with me and the people that I love and the people that I hang out with are like, okay, once we get to this step, it's going to be better. No, man, it's going to be different, but the challenges are still going to be there. Mm-hmm. For me, it was, if I can just get through college and get into dental school, everything will be good. I will be able to get through dental school. I'll be able to move on to my career, and my life will be amazing. Yet, then I got to dental school, and dental school sucks. It sucks.
Dental school does not suck for those of you that want to become a dentist.
Dental school sucks, but
I did not go to dental school.
But being a dentist is pretty great. But then it was like, okay, become an associate get my first job in dentistry. Well, then that's all new problems. Like there's clinical complications, there's personnel complications. You are a leader in the practice, in the facility. You are an authority to the patients who are going to ask you questions and expect you to have answers. There's all kinds of new problems. Mm-hmm. So then it becomes, okay, if I can just become an owner of the practice and then mold that practice into what I want it to be, everything will be okay.
Without the bureaucracy.
Right. But then you get into practice ownership and it's, hey, now everyone's going to come to you with all of the problems, and you're going to have to now balance being a business owner, a CEO, a COO, and the lead clinician.
And two of those three will fail,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Because and we've talked about this so many times, right? Like Dr. Elliot needs to be able to focus on his craft, not marketing,
But I really do like marketing.
Well, he likes marketing, but I mean, at the that's not where 80% of his focus should be. It should be the other way around.
Right.
So like it's that 20%, we talked about that. It's like, dude, should you be focused on marketing or smile transformation cases?
Probably smile transformation cases.
I mean, I feel like that's where,
Yeah. I've brought in a new business manager, and he's been awesome about taking a lot of the, the business side of things off of me, where I can be the ideas person. I can be involved to the capacity that I am capable of, and then he'll take care of the other problems.
And how many times did I share with you to keep your plate half full?
A lot, and I never did, but that's a failure on my part.
It's not a failure. It's realizing when it's the right time to offload.
Right. And at this point, like, the success is that I have an amazing team. I have a really, really healthy, successful dental practice, and I'm really trying to enjoy that right now.
And I also, one thing I learned, and it wasn't very clear to me, and this was advice I had gotten from a former HR representative, Casey. Oh my God, Casey was so great. But she was like, you need to form a leadership team for your boss. And I was like the Avengers, like a line of defense. And it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. It's like, if I am able to build the trust with my boss and get alignment with other leadership team members, we do become like the Avengers. And then we are a trusted source that within the department, and we're running it. And then my boss can focus on what matters to them.
Yeah.
And then that way, there's trust, there's better execution, there's better energy, there's a better culture, Yeah. There's value there.
So that actually reminds me of a question that I kind of thought of when we were going through this topic is, and we've already hit on all of the things that get harder as you move up in leadership. But what gets easier? And is that you're able to develop the systems that you want?
I would say where I'm at my career right now, yes, implementing the systems that help a department run smoothly and efficiently has high value. There is high value in managing the work getting done and implementing systems that create better visibility, better communication, and more efficiencies.
Yes. And for me, it was giving me the ability to create a business model and an image of the business that I wanted, that I could express my creativity without being limited by other people or a boss above me. Now, that can lead to some pretty catastrophic failures at time if you're not smart about it. Success is a complicated thing. We need to embrace it more. But we also have to embrace what actually matters. And I think, with my daughter coming in October, and the fact that I have achieved a lot of my goals at this point in life, I think my definition of success is shifting. Do you think your definition of success has changed?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. And, when you meet those goals, I mean, gosh, I hope you make new ones, because if they were driving you to get to a certain point, well, there's always the North Star to go after. And I think, setting some realistic and achievable goals for yourself, that's great. And those are the things that raise your confidence. Those are the things that push you into uncomfortable territory and you're growing, Mm-hmm. And if you're not pushing yourself and doing some sort of goal setting, the last goal I can remember that I really set for myself was to become an amazing headshot photographer.
You gotten pretty good. You'll get there one day.
I think so. No, but I mean, like, so, but what
You're
was,
an amazing headshot photographer.
but well, like, what did I do to get there?
Yeah.
Like, I put in the work and I worked with the best. I took the feedback and I applied it, and there was failure, and then there was improvement, and then there was failure, there was more failure, and then there was improvement. But I'm 7-8 years into that journey of doing professional headshots at a very high level, and I'd say within the last year or two is when I would say, man, I finally feel very, very comfortable with this. I used to have to want to meet with people before I photograph them because, like, I didn't want that challenge of not knowing who they were, or like not being able
right.
to.
Yeah, I remember you did like a Zoom call.
I
with
did,
me.
yeah, and like I wanted to.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, and I wanted to, like, because I wanted to make people feel comfortable. Because there's nothing worse than, you know, showing up to a session of someone you never met who's bald and bearded and looks a little, you know, it can be a little curmudgeoned physically, but
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm a nice guy. I mean, listen to me. So, anyways, you know, but like, getting to that point of like that comfort level and everything, and then not worrying about the technology and the hardware, and just being able to focus with that person, seeing the light the way that I want it, and then seeing them for who they are in a short amount of time. I love it.
Yeah.
I love that challenge. And I had to crawl through so much failure to get there. And now I feel very confident about the end product that I can give most human beings.
I like that. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's
The parallels are very similar.
for sure. Like, you know, it's interesting when life goals start to really come out. Like, I was at the Spear Summit. Frank Spear was talking about, like, what are you going to do after you achieve your life goal? And for me, success is just the next step. Like, you know, I've got, I'm going to be a dad. For me, it's what do I do to help her be successful? Des and I were talking about, like, what if we, like, screw up? And I'm like, we will.
There's no instruction manual
Yeah.
for being a parent. I know there's lots of books and what to expect when expecting and whatever, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, look, speaking from someone that has been a parent for almost 22 years,
Yeah.
there's nothing. It's the hardest gig you'll ever have.
At this point, I'm just like, my focus, I think, and how I will measure success is how many hours of therapy she needs after I'm gone.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh.
How much can I minimize the trauma?
You know, I would say, like, speaking from that experience, it's just like, what is the relationship that you have with your parents today? And how would you like your relationship with your child to be today? You know, like,
Yeah.
because, you know, that my mom's gone, my dad's still here, and I love my dad. He's an amazing man. He's a mentor. He's always my dad. Not really ever my friend.
Retail Ron.
Retail Ron. But I mean, he's an amazing guy, and he's always challenging me to think differently. But you know what? Like, sometimes I just want a friend, and I'm 46 years old, and I don't always want to be challenged. And, you know, sometimes I find myself doing that with my own kids, and I try to recognize it. And it's not like I'm saying this is anything wrong with my father. I love him very much. He's a great man. I'm very lucky to have him. But, like, sometimes, like, I do just want to have a friend.
Sure.
You know, and when you know, my son Jaden, you know, he's going to be, you know, he's almost 22. I mean, to me, he's a man. Make your own decisions. Go out and fail. Learn from them, and, you know, try to, you know, learn from it. And as a parent, you know, it's hard to sit back and let them do that. But at the end of the day, that's what they need to do. That's what I had to do. That's what you had to do. And that's how you get better.
Yeah.
That's how you improve.
Yeah. You know, success probably means very little if you hate your life that you built to get there. I've watched a couple of interviews with some dentists who build up these huge, like, networks of multiple practices, like large business empires, and they are miserable because they've got no time for their family, for their friends, for their hobbies. And can you call someone like that successful? It was the same reason why I left music, or if I finally was ready to leave trying to become a professional musician when I did. The big thing was I wasn't very good, so it was never going to happen. But I was seeing guys that I would categorize as successful, and their relationships with their families and friends weren't the greatest because they were always on the road. Like, the commitment that had to happen, like, really impacted their life in a way that I wasn't willing to accept. And I wouldn't be able to feel successful in that way. I think I would have been miserable.
Well, and that's kind of like, how do you measure success?
Right.
Right? Like,
it's all subjective.
Right. It's how do you measure success? How do you, define how much is enough in life? Right. Like you just talked about, these dentists have built up large networks, and I'm sure there was a lot of money pouring in and everything. But something like that requires a lot of attention. Mm-hmm. It requires a lot of attention and a lot of commitment. And then it's almost like you had a family to check the box on that. Well, that's not fair to the family.
Yeah, and
I'm not saying that to our audience, but like, everyone's different, right? And I'll speak for me, not for both of us, because you're here and you have a mic and you have a mouth, so like that's fine. But like for me, like there's a level of success that's enough for me.
Yeah, I think that for someone like me who's looking for the next project, for looking for the next thing that I get to do. It's always a hard thing for me to just be happy with where I'm at, with where the success is. But I want to be happy when I get home. I want to be happy with my family. I want to be happy with my relationships. And if, trying to portray outward success, and think about how other people look at me, if I have to build a life that I'm miserable in, it's not worth it. It's not a success. It's a failure. There things that mattered to me a lot 10 years ago matter to me less now.
Samesies.
And then there are things that matter to me more now.
Yeah. Like teeth maxing.
Teeth maxing. Yeah, sure. Like I'm trying to figure that out. Like
teeth maxing, mouth maxing, smile maxing, all the things.
And, if you are happy with your life, your bills are paid, you're going to be able to retire comfortably, and you're doing bread and butter dentistry, or you're just doing head shop and you're feeling fulfilled, stay in that lane. But if there's something, like if you feel the need to do the next thing and it's not going to negatively impact your life outside of your career, then pursue it. Because I think that's probably more what success is. Are you happy? Are you comfortable? And are you able to take care of the things that need to be taken care of?
Absolutely. And the longer you do something and the more efficient and better you get at doing it, it does allow you to take more on, right? So, you mentioned, you've scaled your business, you offer more services than when you started because you have a higher comfort level of, offering that stuff, right? And you're like, hey, I'm running a business, right? And then, there's a range of services that I can offer at all different financial scales, right? Where do I feel comfortable? Where do I feel uncomfortable? Where I want to feel comfortable?
Right. I would agree. This subject, I think you and I could go on and on about, but
yeah, we really could.
Failure is important. Failure is important.
It is. It's part of life.
Yep. You should embrace it. Mm-hmm. It should still sting, but are you going to own it? And are you going to move past it quickly? Because successful people are the people who take failure on the chin, they learn from it, and they move on quickly.
Own it too.
Yeah. And I think that's a big message is if you should be able to move on quickly, do not let it engulf you mentally, spiritually, and emotionally.
Yeah. And that part is a challenge. And it's someone like me, how I got hooked up, dude, I will catastrophize it's horrible. And those are things that I'm working on, right? And when I get to that point, it's like, man, you're failing. It's like, okay, I now know like the frameworks or like the coping mechanisms that I need to go through that. And I've learned it's patience.
Yeah.
Number one, it's patience. And it's like, I got to walk away. I literally have to walk away, and I need to, I have to recenter, right? Or reset. And sometimes it's hard when I have the emotions that I have going through my body. Ugh, it's exhausting.
I get it,
but
man.
I still like me. I still like me a lot.
I like you too, John. And I guess my final message would be that don't try to force something to work because you're afraid to admit that you failed. Because I think that is the biggest mistake that I've made in the past, is trying to force something to work when I know it won't.
And I would just add that if you're not failing every day, you're not growing.
I like that. All right. I think that's where we will end this subject. Hopefully some felt encouraged and challenged from this episode. I know I did. I've been able to reflect on myself a little bit here. This was a little therapeutic, John. I appreciate it. I'll pay your hourly, no problem.
You're welcome.
This has been the Death Before Decay podcast with Dr. Elliot Humiston and super producer John Erlien. We appreciate you listening in, and hopefully you got something out of this. If you enjoyed the podcast, please subscribe to us on all our platforms.
Please.
And check out our social medias. Mine is dr.elliotthumiston on Instagram. John, what are you at?
I am John Erlien Photo.
Excellent. So, yeah, we share lots of tidbits about what's going on with our lives and try to entertain you with cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like when you get a dentist and, a creative guy together, great stuff happens.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for listening and watching this episode of the Death Before Decay podcast with Dr. Elliot Humiston. My co-host and assistant producer is John Erlien, and we have some of our graphic design and video editing help from Ashley Yang. If you would like to follow us on social media, I am dr.elliotthumiston on Instagram, and John is John Erlien Photography. Please rate, subscribe, and throw comments our way on how much you liked or maybe disliked the episode. We'd love to hear your conversation pieces. Everyone, have a fantastic day, and good luck on your journey.